Hey everyone, it's Avatar week, and as of recording this video I have not yet seen the new movie, but as of uploading this video I will have seen it by now. How exciting! It's had me reminiscing about the Avatar toy lines. We've seen a few over the years, and I was also thinking about the amazing clearance deals that I managed to grab in 2023. So this video here is going to be a collection of sorts, showcasing some highs and some lows. I wanted to first talk about the Mattel line, which released alongside the first movie in 2009. We had two different sizes for these action figures, some smaller ones here featuring some very cool packaging design. We can see a little Jake figure there and a display stand at the back, and some form of a technology implementation, 3D models, webcam tags, just some 2010 stuff, wild for the times. And then as for the bigger figures, the packaging here was different. It's not just a card, but it used a plastic shell instead, which feels a bit more in line, like it's targeting an older collector maybe. This toy line here also featured similar display stands. You can see it's basically like a mirror flipped image, but it was lacking in the character selection, just 3 figures here for these big figs in total. Now the line here also received some animal toy releases, and I believe these things were to scale with these smaller figures. Now these animal creature type toys, they weren't actually released here in NZ despite our country's connection to the series. We got the action figures way later as well. They were all bought in one big massive bulk order discount when I was younger, and I've kept these around ever since. It makes my collection feel more interesting to me, having the original Mattel line alongside the modern era McFarlane releases. Then this was basically the collection of smaller figures. I do have others around here somewhere, as we can see from the extra accessories lying around, one of which here is Sam Worthington's wheelchair, and clearly a gun for the big figs. I think for what these are, they've got some nice details to them, pretty rough face likenesses though for the most part, but the colours and the costuming look really cool, and the weapon inclusions were always a favourite of mine too. They could achieve quite a bit here for a cheaper released figure, cheaper at least compared to the McFarlane ones released today. There is a bit of awkwardness though with the articulation. There's some bends and some rotates, but they're not really connecting to each other. Some of the joints just feel a bit more limiting compared to others. Also, holding the weapons does feel flimsy. You know how it goes with smaller releases like this. Some of the figures had some human and Na'vi type releases, so Norm here uses the same outfit design but with blue or human flesh tones depending on which one you got. I thought it was really cool as a kid. Same thing for Sig here. Same type of a toy design, a likeness that both seems to kind of look like the actor while also look off-putting. The toys here featured some display stands. The Na'vi have some alien-like designs to them, clear plastic, looks out of this world, which is really cool, while the human characters here featured some dog tag type releases, featuring that sci-fi military camo detailed on them. It's got those weird military lines. The actual Na'vi toys here featured a slight height difference and weapons of spears and bows and such. My bow here is bending, and this avatar friend is also busted. Something cool with this line compared to today are these soldiers for cannon fodder. These guys do actually appear in both movies, they're named and everything. And then the lead villain here I think was only released in a green tank top at this scale. We then jump all the way ahead now to the McFarlane line. They began releasing toys around 2022 for the new movie. They debuted by playing catch up here, and I've made videos on these in the past. It's crazy that I paid $60 odd for this thing, especially when all of these toys went to about 80% clearance maybe half a year later. This is the World of Pandora line. It was kind of like a terrarium line of toys, small environments and little releases, and glow-in-the-dark features too, which were really appealing. This kind of looks like the world at Animal Kingdom. It's pretty cool. I had some King Kong toys based on the Peter Jackson movie when I was a kid. They were pretty similar to this. There's also the McFarlane Lost line, and there's a little diorama there, and I think they made like smaller figures for Matrix too. Tiny figures here where the toy is a piece of the world. It's a big plastic thing, some amazing texture details here though. I don't really care for the plants here and such. These do feel like cheap releases. It's a rubber-like material, but the moss and the vines and all the details of the world, I think it looks pretty stunning. It looks great on display all lit up, though it doesn't last very long. I do wish that timer could be adjusted. The aspect I don't care for here were these small figures. They're fine, they're just not really for me. They feature just enough of those details there because of their size. They're pretty bare bone. We've got some minor movements here with the toy figures, mostly just up and down based movements. An up close detail of the face there, you can see what I mean. It just barely resembles a face, and there's no real display area here either. They just kind of get shoved on the scene and just balanced wherever you can make sense. This line also released a couple of mystery blind boxes. Inside you've got a figure and some plants, and I also seem to have kept the original band there that features that price point, $5, that's why I bought them. I just wanted to see what these things were like, and annoyingly I got doubles, which kind of sucks. I think these were the last ones at the EB Games as well. Our card here shows us the roster of releases and the complete scene, which does look really appealing, but it must have been really difficult to actually get a hold of all of these given that this line is through blind boxes. There are tons of figures and animals here not sold outside of the mystery box collection line. It's crazy to see just how many of these figures they made, and I only found 2 and they were the exact same one. What you do here is you put the plants on the base and then you can sit that base next to the main display. It doesn't connect on or anything, it just sits alongside it. The bases don't even connect to each other, so I don't really see much of an incentive to keeping all of these. I brought these toys out here because I was so curious to see how they pair with the Mattel toys from years prior. The scale is now off entirely, but because it's just a piece of land that features no man-made objects, I think it still works for a cool display piece. It's just that that size is now a little bit different. It's still very clear to me to tell what this is from, and I don't think they look too wild here alongside this specific playset. And I still think the glowing feature is really cool too. All of the toys featured some blacklight details, so if you have access to something like that, you can see some extra little hidden features. Now's when things get a bit overboard and crazy. Lots of unnecessary purchases were made here. I was so excited to see those clearance prices. These smaller releases were bought on the same day, so there is a video detailing these already up on the channel. I don't think $23 is too bad for these actually. These would have been pretty fun for me when I was a kid. The crab suit one even has a little guy inside, which is really cool. And here at the back we have a whole new terrarium display because this toy is based on the second movie. Continuing on with the second movie, this here is the AMP suit released, another little figure and some accessories for the mech there, which always look like the ones from the Matrix. We then have Nateum and an Elu creature. This has a light up feature, but it's either really hard to see or it might just be out for the count. We then have some bigger releases here, which were Christmas presents. The first is a Skimwing creature with a higher price point compared to the other smaller releases, sure, and then a Banshee creature, which are probably the most well-known creature from these movies, and those flying ones are the ones that interested me the most here. In hindsight, I definitely don't think I needed all of this for my collection and my display, but still, we'll take a quick look at the toy line. I almost forgot though, we do also have the other playsets here. This one here is the Shack Site Battle. This gives you some more of the main players and a display scene, and the back here has always displayed both playsets together, which almost implied a connection between the two. The last playset here is the Reef Home for the new At the Time movie. More light up features here too. These were part of that 80% clearance purchases. 2 figures here is a nice touch though. I opened up the Shack site because I wanted to take a look at the stuff included there. The mech is shockingly well detailed for something rather small here. It can open up to show a little man inside. You've got some articulation all over the toy as well. I was really surprised with this one. It felt pretty worthwhile, and it's cool to see that the mechs were sold individually as we saw earlier, so there was no need to get this specifically for that mech. The Thanator animal is also pretty cool. Thicker limbs there and bends here with a rubber-like plastic used for that skin. A ball joint connection for display. The Shack though, shocking. It's just a front facade and nothing else. It feels cheaper in its quality compared to the rest of the set as well. I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong here, but the connection is not very strong. It just kind of sits in place and it falls over easily, and the playsets don't link up either. They just kind of sit next to each other. It's a big scene, but it feels more accidental than intentional. I do want to show those flying creatures though, because I do think that these guys are really cool. There's some nice bends here for the toy, the same level of detail that you probably expect by now as well. We've got metal pole connections for having the toy in air. I imagine these would have looked really great on a desk display or collection shelves. These feel like the big standouts for the line for me. Okay, and so then we had the standard type of action figure releases, the one that appeals to me the most, especially for this channel. These are the big figures here, 3 of them released for the first movie with Neytiri, Quaritch, and Jake Sully. All 3 were bought at half price of around $20 to $25 NZD each. That Quaritch figure is just insane. Jake and Neytiri have featured some lighter accessories with weapons and extra hands. The back here shows them on these massive Banshee toys, which I did try to buy at the time of release, but I think they were about $100 each. And these action figures for the first movie were only sold at EB Games, so they were priced at the absolute highest, as you can imagine. The Quaritch toy here is so tiny, and McFarlane wanted the full price of 55 NZD. They tried to make up for it with all of these accessories. These are those premium type of releases we see today where the price is really high because of the extra accessories. Anyway, the Way of Water here saw 3 releases as well, another Jake and Neytiri toy, and then a new character of Tonawari. It's a very NECA or McFarlane type release wave if you ask me. 3 characters to represent the entire movie, and one of them's kind of random. Neytiri on the back here is showcasing the exact same Banshee toy here. The dudes though are showcasing a Skimwing toy. Same basic idea as the Banshee, but a different type of character release. This is a quick comparison of Neytiri and Neytiri. The change here comes with the lack of hand accessories and the style change as well for the outfit. I might be crazy, but I feel like the face likeness for these Way of Water toys is a bit different here compared to the first movie. Same sort of thing for Jake. No hands here, completely different weapons because the new one has a gun, except for that small knife there, which are repeats for both of the Jake and Neytiri figures. The first movie toy's face details to me kind of looks like a cowardly lion or something, quite odd. Out of the packaging, I thought these toys were incredible. I think at the time this was the most articulated toy that I had for the price that I paid. I got these guys for about $30 NZD each or so. I was pretty happy with that. It was like a Black Friday sale or something before the movie came out, so they weren't quite clearance yet because they weren't selling. I got those sealed ones though for $7 each with my massive clearance video. They feel great in hand. Tonawari might be an odd character choice, but the figure does have some great molds for his flesh since he is part of a different tribe there. He's got fins and they're thicker limbs for that guy too, and I love the outfit that was chosen for him. Neytiri is also nice, but something I don't like is the lack of a string for her bow. Even a plastic one would have been fine. It just doesn't feel like a bow to me without the bowstring. It feels like just a big stick inclusion. Okay, and then finally we have the big mega figs. That was the name that the McFarlane brand gave to these toys, a mech suit and a crab suit. I think these were also super cheap, like less than 20 bucks NZD on clearance. Originally their price tag was closer to like $100 NZD. The mech suit is the one I wanted the most. I wasn't too concerned with this not being the exact one for Quaritch. It's not too big of an issue for me. I just really wanted a mech toy for that little figure. The crab suit though I do think was a waste of money in hindsight, even on a clearance price of like 20 bucks. McFarlane Toys can't even advertise a figure to interact with this thing because they only released one human figure in the entire line. I don't know what the thought process here was. I actually do feel like a bit of a sucker for owning this one. And I also managed to get a skim wing too. I went all in on these toys back when they were clearanced. It felt so exciting to buy them as well. What's bad though is I got two of them. I wanted to have both Jake and Tonawari on display. It made sense to me, but I haven't even broken the seal on the second one. Jesus Christ. It's because they're so big and I didn't really realize it until I had them in hand. So the military vehicles here first, the crab suit, it is cool. The plastic though does feel like it's a cheaper kind, maybe so that way it can be as big as it is while also being sold at what you would think is a reasonable price. You can open it up and fit an invisible figure inside. The arms can move and be tucked away since it's a crab-like design. It's a cool big dumb plastic toy overall that I just don't have much use for since there's only one human toy released period and he's going to be busy interacting with a different set rather than this one. This mech is awesome. The bends though do feel a bit rough to me. I feel like I'm close to breaking this thing when I play with it. The arms can swing backwards here, which feels very mechanical and in line with the movie's design. Feels cool. Some loud clacking noises there for the legs and the waist there, and some cool dirt scuff marks for the display piece as well. Inside the cockpit we have some details for the piloting sticks and enough room for the figure to be placed inside. I have him ready here with his mask and everything, and now we have the toys out of the boxes. We can look at the scale for these things. It's crazy to me. Are the Na'vi really this drastically different in scale to us? They're massive. Quaritch here fits nice and snug inside, and I do think that this toy looks amazing. This is exactly what I wanted to see for my display. Looks nice and bulky, and it's cool that we can still see him piloting this thing as well. The next real winning ticket item for me is the Skimwing toy. This thing is so giant that in the packaging box he needs to be broken up and taken apart, so it's very deceiving in scale until you actually assemble this thing. See, this back chunk here is a separate piece entirely, rubber-like material, and no joke, it feels like a fish to me. The massive wings here do feel like it's a cheaper plastic though. Some of the paint feels like it's just vanishing away. The head has some movements there, the jaw can be open and shut, and this is much more detailed than the smaller toy that we looked at earlier. You can place a figure on the harness there, and this was the display piece that I had throughout last year before I needed to pack things away for some space. As for the future releases and what's available right now, looks like McFarlane continued with only these bigger figures and they released more action figures and even more Banshee creatures. We have another Jake and another Neytiri figure and two Quaritch releases and the new villain of Varang. And I think that these guys look equally as fantastic as the previous toys. However, the first awesome change that I noticed, extra head pieces and some hand accessories, and I know McFarlane, that's gonna make them expensive. Currently, if I want them, I can only buy them from Amazon AU, and they are about 70 to 80 NZD. That's definitely not happening anytime soon. Hopefully we see some insane clearance prices in the near future. We covered a lot of ground here today, and I hope you enjoyed this look at a collection of Avatar toys. It's a bit much for me now, especially since I only really love the bigger scaled releases that McFarlane are more known for. The whole world of Pandora stuff I appreciate for what it is, but I think I went way too overboard on those purchases made 2 years ago now. I'm really surprised to see that the McFarlane line kept going given the poor sales and clearance prices of the last waves. Like, I'm really big on LEGO as well, and the LEGO group did not decide to keep making sets for the new movie given how poorly the last one sold, but this is always a big win for a collector like me who can swoop in and grab some amazing deals. Avatar got some really cool toys overall, and I am happy to see that the theme continues into the future.